Hey, soul fam. Welcome if you are new to the channel, and welcome back if you love me. I love you too. We're here to spin the Wheel of Fortune. See whose sign it is today. Mind you guys, moon events tomorrow. Today is the last day to sign up if you want your own personal read for that. Leo. All right, Leo. So let's do a brief cosmic insight. What is going on right now in the stars for Leo? So Leo, we've got Mars in your sign at 26 degrees in square to Uranus and in opposition to Pallas Athena in Aqua, trine to Eris and Chiron. So listen, Leo, you actually have a lot going on, okay? With the square to Uranus, things that are coming up, like Mars represents severance, what we cut off. It also represents our willpower and our drive. It represents where we champion things. It represents our sexual energy, our vitality or life force energy. It represents our masculine energy, right? We're all yin and yang. We're all both yin and yang. And it represents the yang. It represents the choice making, shot calling, determination, right, of the self. What we think about, we bring about with our actions. So what we choose about, right? That's in direct conflict with Uranus in Taurus, which means there are probably things coming up in the realm of the material world or money that are at odds with you or what you're trying to do. In opposition to Pallas Athena, listen, Mars and Athena are gods of war. Mars, on one hand, is aggressive, right? The act first, think later type person. They are the aggressor. They'll start the fight. Pallas, on the other hand, is defensive strategy, right? Warfare through defense. They might not start the battle, but they will finish it. These things are in opposition right now. If you think about Pallas Athena energy, it's like the movie 300, where the 300 Spartans are up against the entire Persian army. And they're like, well, how do we take on millions when we are only 300? And the defensive strategy was funnel them through a tiny passageway that all of those numbers mean nothing, right? All of those numbers mean nothing. The defensive strategy, we might not have started the war, but we will finish it type mentality. These two things are in opposition. What you need to do for yourself, or what you are driven to do for yourself, you have to ask yourself if you're doing it from a state of reaction, right? Instinct, act first, think about it later, thinking you can get control of it. Or is there a better way, right? Is there a better way? Pallas is asking you to look at your reality a better way, especially if things are chaotic or changing quickly with Uranus there. Uranus is high speed, radical shift. It's also revelation. You know, there could be certain things coming through for you in the reality that are challenging the desire to act first and think later, and the desire to think first before you act. There are things going on in the reality challenging your ability to do those things. With it being trine to Chiron and Eris in Aries, who is kind of buffering between these two, right? Because Chiron and Eris and Aries are conjunct, also sextiling on Pallas, right? They're trine on Mars in your sign and sextile on Pallas. There's this buffer. Where have your wounds created the chaos, right? Where has the sacrifice of yourself created the chaos? Eris is the goddess of discord. She is the one that gave what's his face the apple, right? The golden apple, the apple of discord, because it sent the goddesses into a fucking fury. Like, everybody has a shadow side. Everybody has wounds. No one is exempt from 12th house shit, Saturn shit, Pluto shit, South Node shit. Like, we all have it in our chart. We all have a shadow side. Gods and goddesses are no different. Aries, as a very deep, right, deep outer planet, deep space, gets really deep into the psyche and is really deeply connected, right, to the collective whole. It sees things from a different perspective that most other planets don't see from. Aries saw the wound in each of them, and they were hiding it very well. So when she gave the apple to this man to choose which goddess was the most beautiful, there's only one apple. She told him to give it to the most beautiful goddess. Aphrodite, Hera, and Athena all claim to be the most beautiful. And when he gave the apple to Aphrodite, the other two goddesses lost their shit. The Trojan War broke out. The Trojan War ended up breaking out over this fucking apple. Over this apple. The insecurities of the other two goddesses that were so beautifully hidden, the mask got ripped off, right? How has your wounds, right, Chiron, your martyring of the self, created chaos in your life? And can you act, be willing and driven, Mars energy, to heal yourself, defend yourself so that you win the battle, right? You might have not created the wounds, but you will heal the wounds. And you don't want to create the wounds for anybody else, but you might want to expose the wounds that are there on your way out, right? Chiron and Aries being the high vibratory facet to help you through this integration needs to be leaned into. Where has your own martyring, your own sacrifice of self, played a role inside the chaos you're facing now? Why the reality is what it is, with Uranus and Taurus squaring on these two facets, right? Mars being in your sign. And what can you do as the moon shifts, right? Because the moon is going to be in trine to Mars tomorrow. There's a great reset with the full moon in Sag. It's going to be in trine to Mars tomorrow. Can you allow yourself a clean vision, right? The full moon tomorrow. I'm sorry. Did I say new moon? Full moon tomorrow. It's all about releases. How can you visualize how you want to feel, right? Moon and Sag, visualizing how you want to feel in the future. How can you allow that visualization of how you want to feel to drive your actions in order to challenge that in the reality, which is chaotic for you and causing you a great deal of fucking stress that you feel you almost can't defend yourself against it, right? Can you breathe and look at the face value reality of things as the sun is still in Gemini, right? Highlighting that facet of the chart, that the sun is there in Gemini. What is the reality? What are other people's actions showing you about themselves and their own wounds? And can you accept it is not your job to go after healing it, trying to heal other people, but maybe accepting that your defense and healing yourself is actually the best path forward and actually healing other people, right? Because you can't heal anybody else unless you've healed yourself. You have to choose yourself in order to help other people heal. They have to learn it in ways that they're not prepared for you to be their teacher in, right? They're not prepared to learn. You have to be prepared to learn. It sets them up to be prepared to learn, right? The ripple in the mirror of things. With that, you also have Pluto opposite your sign. 3 degrees retrograding, and Aqua opposing the first decan of Leo, which would be felt most if you are like 1-2 degrees placements in Leo, or 4 or even 5 degrees placements in Leo. You're starting to feel it. Pluto has like a 1 degree orb as far as I'm concerned, but you can kind of start to feel the vibes around 2 degrees out. If you have those first 5 degrees of Leo, you've got placements in there, you're challenging yourself with this transit. Came into this life really needing to integrate the deep healing of the collective consciousness, tuning into it telepathically, tuning into the thoughts, and recognizing that all thoughts are not your own, and that you can control how and what you think about. You can go against what society taught you that is detrimental, absolutely detrimental, and transform the way you think into something powerful and new that hasn't necessarily been seen, utilized, or valued before. Pluto is a hidden powerhouse. It's a hidden power bank of energy reserves that you can tune into, and it's like lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of energy and wisdom compiled up, and it's hidden. You can actually tap into it. And right now it is via your thoughts. It can even be coming through as things synchronistically online, because Aquarius rules the Ethernet, right? It rules the internet, where we're all connected. Think about that. Some things maybe you should not be acting first and thinking later, diving in to save or rescue, as Aryan energy, Mars, can do. They're known to be the first responders. You know, they're known to be military. They rescue what might need to get cut off instead of rescuing them, right? This is what Pallas Athena in the opposite position is asking you to think about. What am I trying to save or rescue that maybe I just need to take my hands off the wheel? Rescue or save myself, cut this person off, right? This is what is going on in Leo energy. With that, let's get our dice rolled. Let's put this up here. Spirit, what other placements may be significant? Or if you're not strong in Leo big 3, then maybe these are your placements, right? If you're cross-watching. We've got Taurus, right? So that's the Uranian energy we were talking about. Taurus is playing a role. You could have strong Taurus in your chart. We've got South Node. And first house. Aryan energy. Okay. Taurus is Venus and the second house. The first house is Mars and Aries. So those planets and signs are playing a big role. You know, Venus is home in Taurus now. She's influencing Uranian energy, because even though they're far apart, if you think about like rooms inside of a house, you could be on 2 different corners of the room, but you're still in the same room and can easily converse with each other from across the room. It's a little more difficult when, you know, it's in 2 rooms down. You know, even in a house next to each other, like they're still conversing. You can bang on the wall, talk through the wall. You can hear each other. It might be a little muffled, but you can hear it. The further away you get, the harder it is to hear what's going on inside that room. With Venus being in the same room as Uranus, and it's her home sign. It's her room. It's her room in the house. It's influencing the conversation. So these different changes may be surrounding love and money, and different revelations that are coming through in regards to love and money that may be insightful as to what you're dealing with and healing through. Okay. Grow through what you go through, right? It's my little sign over there. Grow through what you go through. This is about the self with the first house, how we carry ourselves, how we choose to behave, and why we choose what we choose in our behavior, and if we can and are willing to change it. Can we value the past, which South Node represents? Can we value the past and master it? South Node in a chart indicates where you have already achieved mastery in a past life. There are certain things going on now that you need to claim, as I've learned it, I've mastered it, and can move on now. This is big. This is big if you've got strong Leo placements. Even if they're not around the first 5 degrees or the last 5 degrees as Mars exits, you having placements in Leo, you're having a divine conversation. This will be particularly important if you are a natal Mars in Leo, if you are a natal Venus in Leo, or if you have South Node, North Node placements in Leo and Aqua. All right, super specific if you also have those placements. So let's see what is going on. Now, if you are a Taurus rising, you could be, let's go rising signs. You could be Taurus rising. You could be Aries rising, because it's first house. And if you are, in fact, a Leo rising, you might have different signs and placements depending on where they are. So make sure you know your chart. Just make sure you know your chart. Because if you're a Taurus rising, that would put Aries in your 12th house, which is shadow healing, right? The hidden self or suppressed self, the inner child wounds, right? Things that we've brought from past lives, people, hidden enemies and hidden angels, right? It's the house of hidden adversaries or people that we vilify mistakenly. In the healing mirror of things, right? Where we vilify the angels of our lives and things like that. If you're a Taurus rising, you're going to be looking at Aries in the 12th house, and Leo would then be put in the 4th house. Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. Yeah, 4th house. Leo would be in your 4th house. So if you're a Leo 4th house, this might be specific to you, right? If you're an Aries rising, you don't have Leo in your big 3, you're an Aries rising, this is going to pay mind to your 5th house, right? Leo in the 5th house, then this is going to pertain to your 5th house. So take it as it resonates according to your birth chart and what you've got going on in there. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, you could have South Node in any one of those signs too, Taurus, Aries, or Leo. You might not have Leo in your big 3. You might have a Leo South Node. This message is going to be important. So Spirit, what is going on for Leo and those who need this message, especially with the dice? What is going on? One more shuffle. For Leo and those who were drawn. What do they need to know and understand in their highest good? Okay. Bottom of the deck is the joke. Top is the betrayal. Hand-drawn cards further clarify the Fiend in the reverse. Clarify the Fiend in the reverse. What archetypal energy is tied to that card? Someone's going to have a breakthrough. Or at least they're set up that way. Clarify the Theater with the empty throne. The Foundation and the Honor. The eclipsed sun is on top. And the lit sun in its full light is on the bottom. I have 2 sun cards in this deck. Top and bottom. Underneath the eclipse, wow, is the cross, the broken mind, the scissors. Well, well, well. See, we are meant to shine. We are meant to be bright and shine. People who would eclipse our light or drain our energy, where we feel less, where we feel tired after dealing with them, the divine weeps for us. The divine weeps because we have demons in our reality, right? Separation of self in the mirror, and we're registering them as an angel in our mind. We're trying to save. This broken mind card is the wounded empath, okay? And it needs to get cut off. That energy with the scissors underneath, that needs to get cut off. Spirit wants you to shine. Spirit wants you to shine. Let's do Kipper. Let's do Kipper as well. Further clarify the fiend in the reverse with the fish. Main male energy. You got main male energy with that. Clarify further the theater and the empty throne with the honor and the foundation. Family room. And community. Okay, so that Leo, this is a family situation. It could be literal family, like blood family, that people that you live with, people that you consider your family. It could also be families that we choose, like work family, okay, or friendship circles, right? Soul family. That's going to probably be highly dependent on what house Leo rules for you, okay? Work family, soul family, blood family. For some of you, it might be all of the above. God knows, could be tied in. But we've got the house here. So like I said, play on words, right? The house that Leo rules for you is important. And we've got the Lovers on top. Love and home and family. Okay. The Fiend. Let's get into energy number 1, and then we'll talk about the tops and bottoms of the deck in a minute. The Fiend is lawful evil. It's a shadow contract in the upright. In the reverse, as it is, it becomes chaotic good. In the upright, however, the Fiend depicts a devil swallowing innocence. It can indicate the deaths of many in a great calamity, or, if misaligned, the salvation from the same calamity. The Fiend can also indicate that some sort of dark or intelligent creature is in the area endangering the populace. With this being in the reverse, chaotic good, it's almost as if you're becoming aware of the fact that the darkness that exists within yourself and the mirror that you've created, especially in a partner, right? The Lovers is on the top of Kipper. How the pain might ripple and hurt the children. right? If we're talking about family. Now, if this is not your reading, it's not your reading. If it is, it is. If it's not, it's not. Don't force it to fit, but take it as it resonates with you. Okay, I'm going to read it like I read it. Take it as it makes sense to you. Apply it to your situation in your Leo house. The feeling is like someone, or maybe even two people, right? If both people in a marriage or something like that is toxic, how it affects the children. How it affects the children. And not just like children, but your adult children, right? If you have marriages with your children are much older, they're grown and they're on their own. How does it affect your children? Like, for example, my parents' marriage is so toxic that I stay away from it, right? I don't have a relationship with my parents. I don't really have a close relationship with any of my siblings. It was such a toxic dynamic, right? How do you have someone in your reality that's dark? They're dark. Their energy is dark, deeply, deeply wounded. How is them being around hurting other people or teaching them toxicity and or extremes, right? I just had a divine conversation about integrating sociopathy, narcissism, and empathy, and how it's important to integrate the two, right? It's important to integrate facets of the two. Someone might be becoming aware of their own toxic role or their own darkness in the dynamic and how they're affecting the youth that they are responsible for, that they are meant to lead by example, right? And having to take responsibility for the fact that their own wounds are rippling, that they are truly bleeding on people who did not cut them. And the people they're bleeding on are the people that matter to them, right? They're kids. The fish that it came out with is diving deep to the bottom to find the treasure down there, the value that's been buried in the depths, why these situations are created, why the wounds are the way they are, and why they're coming to light the way they are. Whoever the main male is diving deep within the self. They're seeing the toxicity and how it is detrimental to those around them that they care about. That not being able to move, right? The joke, feeling like there's an immovable object or a movable person in front of you and no amount of force can get them to move, is betraying, right? Is betraying. Dealing with the immovable force is betraying those they love and care about deeply. That it's toxic for them, that they're learning toxic behaviors and or toxic responses, right? Because like narcissism and sociopathy is a taught behavior. Empathy is a taught response, both trauma induced, right? There's a main male energy waking up to it. It could very well be Mars, right? Male, masculine, yang energy. It could very well be a male person. They're looking at the situation. And I think they're deeply sad. I think they're deeply sad. There's an honor here, right? They're honoring the foundation they've built with the family. And yet, it's like a fucking, it's like a theater. It's a circus, right? It's like a circus. We get into the theater and the empty throne. The empty throne is lawful good. The empty throne has a sense of loss that is palpable. The ghost signifies that those who are gone will always be with us. They taught us important lessons if only we chose to listen. This card can bring information from a far off or ancient source. The theater is neutral good. It is a card of true prophecy. The puppets act out a scene just as the prophet acts out a scene in which she has no part. The prophet is the audience and the prophecy is the show. She has no influence on what she sees, and its importance is often not recognized until too late. It's possible that someone deeply connected to this person in honor and soul, especially a high soul contract, prophesized everything going on with the family or the community at large. The community and or family in question. I think that whoever this first person is, this main male energy, is waking up to the fact that the second person was right, especially if they are prophetic, if they are a seer or an intuitive or a reader, like gifted in some which way, psychically speaking, right? And spiritually speaking. Someone knew. This has been a common theme. Someone knew. With the empty throne, this is someone who's not in the picture. They were taught important lessons and taught important lessons, but they weren't listened to. And it's deeply sad, right? It creates a sense of loss. It's very real. They're the foundation of what you actually build family or community on. Which is why they know when it's not followed, when the lessons they're teaching are not followed, that loss and pain occur, right? The loss of innocence with the fiend. Someone is waking up to it. The damage that you do, right? When you don't actually integrate honoring a solid foundation. Someone was eclipsed out, and it's coming to light. The value is coming to light, or the lesson is being learned. I think whoever the second energy is has maybe accepted that the first energy, right, the main male, because the throne is empty. And it's likely the throne that the main male and the first energy should be on. But they didn't heed the advice of whoever this was. They didn't heed the advice of whoever this was. And now I think they're realizing that their best thinking got them where they're at, and where they're at is a major roadblock, right? Major roadblock. Roadblock. Hey, Lala. Yeah, I'm still live. Yeah, let's pull a little more on these two before I move into the tarot and get you some insights. What's the vibe, please, Spirit? What's the vibe of this first person, this main male energy? What's the vibe? Shattered and salty. Broken, nightmares, failure, bitter, angry, petty. They didn't listen. And now they're diving deep. They're letting go of their demons. They're diving deep because it left them bitter. Their demons left them bitter, left them shattered. Feeling like a failure. When they could have been successful, right? They could have been successful. They were guided that way. They were told. They were told. What's the vibe of the second energy? What's the vibe of the second energy? Sorry, I was told to put them back in. What's the vibe of the second energy? Isolation in reverse and smell the roses in reverse. The opposite of rejected, alone, or self-inflicted. And the opposite of slowing down, taking time, and getting out in nature. This person, if they were rejected, they don't feel it anymore. If they were left by themselves and dishonored, they do not feel alone. And it was not self-inflicted. They didn't choose it. It was chosen for them by the behavior of the first person. This person is no longer slowing down and no longer taking time for themselves. They're moving forward. They're moving forward. It's like they've already stopped and smelled the roses. And now they're in full-blown forward momentum. This person was rejected and left alone, but they no longer feel rejected or feel alone. And it was not self-inflicted. This is something that someone had to go through. They had to smell the roses when it came to this first person. There was healing that needed to be done, obviously, because the first person abandoned them, left them to their own energy, like completely shut them out, disregarded, did not value them. Person number one did not value person number two and left them out in the cold. Rejected them, right? And person number two had to accept that there was more healing to be done. And now the healing is being done because the first person is shattered and fucking salty. Shattered and salty. They're bitter, they're angry, they're failing at whatever it was that they committed themselves to when they abandoned the second person, the honor of the second person. And the second person warned them. Like, if they warned them, like, please don't trust that person. They don't love you. They don't care about you. They're only in it for this. That's all they care about. Person number two is ignored. Please don't treat people like this. Value them. They're more than just a number, right? Like business related. We talk in work family. Don't treat people like that. They're more than just numbers, you know, value people and they will value your business. And they were fucking ignored. And now maybe the business is fucking hurting because they're treating people like fucking numbers and no one gives a shit. No one cares about the business. They're just there getting a paycheck, getting their fucking numbers because that's how they're treated, like a fucking number, and no one cares. Right? The first person ignored the second person. If it's a soul family thing, like a friendship circle, they're like, I don't know about this new friend you've made. Something's off about them. And now all of a sudden the entire fucking friendship crowd's in fucking chaos. This person caused all kinds of disruption and the second person was shunned from the friendship group maybe. You know, because they didn't get along with this new person and were just being fucking weird or being whatever and didn't like change and they're just jealous. Like, no, like person number two was telling you there's red flags that you are not seeing, sweetie. Person number one said, I don't know what the fuck red flags you're talking about. Maybe you're the red flag. Shut them out. Shut the second person out. Left them on their own. Empty throne. And is getting fucked. They're getting fucked right now. Person number one is getting fucked so hard by life, realizing that the second person was in fact correct. The second person was actually right. That they're diving deep looking to separate from their demons now. Like, damn, person number 2 is right. Damn. And now they're up against what feels like a brick wall in the realm of betrayal. And they've got to figure out a way to shine through it and possibly make amends with the second person, if that's possible. If that's possible. Underneath the bottom of the deck is puzzled. It's confused, perplexed, or conflicted. They don't know what to do because they don't want to double down in what they're in. What they're in is bullshit, right? The top of the deck is trapped. Stuck, no options, or unforgiveness. They don't want the second person to come back with "I told you so." And they don't want to come back, you know, with their tail between their legs, like they fucked up and they should have listened. But at the same time, if they double down, they're getting their fucking head taken off. The betrayal is real. It's self-inflicted. The self-betrayal is real, right? The self-betrayal is real. Someone fucked up and they're potentially doubling down in their fuck up because they're afraid to reroute. They're afraid to admit that they fucked up. They're afraid. They don't want to be humble, you know? They'd rather continue taking this fucking beating. At least that's what they're up against. Like, this is what they're weighing. They feel like they have no options and that they're stuck in it. The reality is they're not stuck in it. They can reach out to the second person, but they have to admit that the second person's way of doing things and that their sight is not fucked up, right? Oh. Hey, I'm at work. How you doing? Oh. Yeah, this person number 1 is in a really fucking rough spot. So fucking rough that they're diving deep to heal things. And the second person is like, I fucking told you. I told you, if you honored me, we could lay a stronger foundation. The whole point of this foundation card is that you don't start building unless you've inspected the foundation and make sure it's not faulty and there's no fucking cracks, that it's good to build on. That's what the purpose of this foundation card is. This person understands the importance of honoring foundation. If you want something that thrives and is strong for generations, for generations, you have to make sure that what you're building on has no cracks and is fucking solid. How can you build a family, a solid family with solid, strong individual children that are going to make a difference in the world if you and your fucking partner are cracked toxic? It breeds toxicity. It breeds collapse. It falls apart. Yeah, you can't build longevity in a house of cards. It needs something solid. It needs something solid. Person number 2 fucking knew it. Person number 2 knew it. Damn it. Ugh. People make it so fucking hard on themselves. Let's see what's going on with person number 1. What is actually going on right now with them? What is actually going on right now? Insight, please, into the situation. The main male energy. 10 of Swords. I shit you not. 10 of Swords is the first card out. Betrayal. 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 Oh my God. Oh my God. Betrayal. Being stabbed in the back, being fucking used, being thrown under the bus. People not caring. People not caring. What else? Jesus. Jupiter and Gemini. That's the 10 of Swords. Leo energy, your cards out here. Cancerian energy, Chariots out here. What is going on? 3 of Swords and 8 of Cups. My nose is going crazy. Clarities, please. Okay, so where this person is. Oh, they're in betrayal, all right. And not only are they in this mode of betrayal, this state of being betrayed, someone's completely taking advantage of it with the Page of Pentacles. The fact that someone is sticking it out and is unwilling to admit that they were wrong. People are taking advantage of them. The desperation of them, right? I've got 8 of Swords on bottom with the World on top. Someone is conflicted about fucking ending the cycle. They're conflicted about it. The Strength card, ego and pride, is diluting the situation with the 7 of Cups. The 7 of Cups is dilution. It's debauchery. It's indulgence, right? Someone who thinks that they're strong enough to handle it, strong enough to fix it, strong enough to deal with it is a fucking mistake. They're being told by the divine, right, the Chariot, to move forward because it's not yielding the result that they want. They cannot force it. They cannot force it. 3 of Swords with the 7 of Wands. I don't think they could defend the pain anymore. I think the pain is so bad that they're literally being pushed to a place where they have to defend themselves. The 8 of Cups with the 10 of Cups, they have to move forward towards fulfillment. They have to get the pirates out their fucking lives. They have to move forward. Because these are energy pirates. No matter what that energy is. The energy could be financial energy. It could be emotional energy. It could be mental energy. It could be spiritual energy. Someone is pirating off of their energy. They need to be able to go after the 10 of Cups and realize that whatever they're in cannot stay. It cannot be defended. I've got 7, 7, 7 here. 3 7s and 2 10s. Whatever is causing them such crazy anxiety, causing them to feel trapped, like they need to end it. I got the Trapped card here, right, on the top of the vibe deck. And then I've got the 8 of Swords here, which is a trapped in the mind energy. Lovers, succubus energy is under that. I shit you not. We got the Lovers underneath the 8 of Swords. In this deck, it is the succubus. And we got the Lovers here on Kipper. The succubus is in the house. It's in the fucking house. And if it's not your literal home, then it is your home away from home, which is your workplace. Right? God damn. God damn. Something is so toxic that even a toxic individual, someone who refused to see and was in their own fiend, like devil energy, is waking up to the reality that they have someone so toxic that it's literally destroying certain things. It's either destroying their family, it's destroying their business or their work, it's destroying. It's so damn toxic. Even a sleeper, quote unquote sleeper, is waking up to the fact that maybe someone was right. God damn. Yeah, I know. I'm always changing it up. Thanks. Y'all are going to make me blush. Let's see. What is going on with the second person? Where are they at? Where are they at? because they're certainly not waiting around on the first person. They have not slowed down. They're not stopping to smell the roses, you know, like they know that they were rejected and left to fend for themselves, that it wasn't their choice to leave, but they had to leave, that the choice was put upon them in some way. And yet they understand what actually building a solid foundation requires. Someone keeps building things that fall apart, right? Someone is continuously building things that fall apart, and they're starting to understand that the second person might know something, right? They might have treated this second person like they were ignorant or uneducated or dumb or not worth listening to for whatever reason. They were not an equal, right? They treated second person like they were inferior to them, right? Person number one had a superiority complex when it came to person number two, and completely just didn't fucking listen to them at all. Didn't take them serious, didn't value them. What's going on now? Can't make this shit up. What's going on now? 10 of Cups, 9 of Cups. What else? 10 of Cups is emotional fulfillment, wish fulfillment with the 9 of Cups. Crystals and moonbeams, right? Literally. Crystals and moonbeams. 10 of Cups, 9 of Cups. Movement of Swords. Communication. Clarities, please. Give me one more. Give me one more. Yeah, I told you so. The Sage and the 7 of Pentacles came out in the reverse. I was told to put them upright, but they came out in the reverse. Noted. This person, bottom of the deck is the Heart of Cups. This is Queen of Cups. They're intuitive. Strong water. 5 of Wands on top. They're conflicted. They're conflicted because they care. They care. They tried to teach, right? The Sage is the Hierophant. It's also a Sag. It's also a Sag. But they tried to teach. They tried to show the vision of 10 of Cups and how to achieve that fulfillment, that emotional fulfillment. And they no longer give a fuck about teaching, right? Because it was in the reverse. They no longer give a fuck about teaching. They showed you where the lessons were. The 9 of Cups with the 7 of Pentacles in the reverse, like they are not, the wish is not to be unfulfilled. The wish is not to settle. This person refuses to settle for less than what is best. You know, whether it's a relationship or a business, right? They look to optimal return, best possible outcome. This person knows how to build, to take time and invest in a solid build of a foundation in order to get the best possible outcome. Person number one wanted to rush shit. They wanted what they wanted. They negated person number two. But person number two does not settle for less than what is best. And they tried to tell somebody, right? The movement of swords. They tried to tell somebody the tower is going to hit on that 10 of Pentacles, whether it's home or business. Home or business. They're like, I told you. I told you. And now I'm conflicted because I fucking cared. Then you didn't fucking listen to me. Now, if you come back now, you want me to care. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can fucking just turn the caring back on. You know? Like, you fucking left me, rejected me, left me to myself. Like, I didn't choose it. I didn't choose to leave. I didn't choose to stop caring. You gave me no choice. You pretty much told me to go fuck myself and that I didn't matter. Now, all of a sudden, you realize I'm right and you want me to care? They're conflicted. I don't know if I could turn the love back on. I don't know if I could turn it back on. Are you willing to surrender control? Are you willing to trust me and surrender control and follow my lead? Because if you could do that, maybe I'll care. But if you want me back in the picture and to do things your ways and you maintain control, that's not going to fucking work. The last time you were in control, I got fucking shafted and everything you were trying to build that I cared about fell apart. We were supposed to be in this together. We were supposed to be in this together, building something that could last lifetimes, generations of wealth and emotion and finances, right? Whatever it is, like what I was building was set to last lifetimes, generations upon generations, and you fucking shit all over it and me in the process. How fucking dare you tell me that you still want to maintain control? Like if this person comes back, they want to be in control. They trust themselves. They trust themselves. And they're looking at person number one. Like, if you trust me, if you realize now in hindsight that I was fucking right, you're going to have to trust me and give me control. Let me do things the way that I need to do things and step the fuck out my way. Matter of fact, help me when I need it. Help me when I ask. If I need this from you or I need that from you, be there to support me. Do not fucking tell me that I'm not going to get my way or I'm out. You could figure it out on your fucking own. You know, you could figure it out on your own. And this is why this person is stuck, trapped, no options, because they don't forgive themselves for fucking up. They don't forgive themselves for fucking up. They fucked up. They're very aware of the fact now that they fucked up. If they were not aware of it before, they're aware of it now. They fucked up. They're aware of it now. They just don't know how to admit that they were wrong, and they don't know how to surrender control. They're afraid to surrender, to trust someone else. Even though person number two proved that they were trustworthy and should have been listened to. Person number two knows how to build a solid foundation and honor people. They're not going to dishonor person number one in their intention for whatever they're building with a family or a business or a friendship circle, whatever. They're honorable. They're not going to dishonor the first person. That was the whole foundation that they were building on. We have to honor each other. That is a solid foundation. And person number one said no and dishonored them. And destroyed the foundation in the process. I should have warned y'all that I'm an animated storyteller when I read. I get so in. Let's get some advice. After I sit here and sip on it. Oh, the I told you so is fucking real. My God. Fucking told you so. We're going to do star codes. Star codes, Astro Oracle. And move these out of the way. White light Oracle. We need some of that bright white light energy. All right. Spirit, please. What guidance and advice? What guidance? Ooh. The sun was sitting in the deck, flipped up. So is the Midhaven and Chiron. I put them in the deck upside down from the last reading they were in. You might want to go back and listen to that read. Maybe one of y'all will remember because it's leaving me right now where these three cards were significant. It was recent, within the last couple days. A reminder and nod to that message. If I find it, I'll tag it in the comments. I'll look for it after. You know I will. All right. What card above all others, please? For Leo and those who are drawn to the dice and the reading in general. What card? I got two. Aries and Taurus. It came out on the dice. First house is Aries. Taurus straight up came out. Literally the only two signs that came out on the dice, because South Node doesn't count as a sign. Taurus and Aries. Act is the key word for Aries on the bottom. It's act. Right? We were talking about that yang energy, that masculine high energy that Mars brings. That's Aries. And Taurus is cultivate. Cultivate. That is Mars and Venus, yin and yang. Act and cultivate. Aries. Ooh, I flipped right to it. Aries. This card comes with a general, all the cards in the deck, the way that the book is broken down. It's a general, an action that you can take with the card, the challenge that arises with the card, and the gift of the card. Okay. For Aries. It says, Aries asks you to remember your personal fire, your reasons for being alive. It pumps up the volume on your life force. Its energy is raw, exhilarated, direct, rude, passionate, and looking for a challenge. Use your wisdom to focus this raw power and give it a goal. Aries is the cardinal fire sign whose fresh, brash enthusiasm is symbolized by a headstrong ram. It rules the head and imbues initiation, new beginnings, spontaneity, rebellion, and rebirth. The action is begin. Move into new territory. Cut to the chase. Be a hero. Feel the call to action and thoughtfully respond. Clear the air and clear the decks. Be crisp and to the point. Shoot from the hip. Set healthy boundaries just by being vibrantly alive. Express affection enthusiastically, spontaneously, and passionately. Work in short, intense bursts rather than long periods of deep concentration. Aries activates our inner adolescent. Direct orders can set off knee-jerk rebellion. Instead of telling others what to do or how they feel, express your own experience and opinion and speak in I terms. Set a challenge and let others find their own answers. Make sure all sides feel heard. If a person feels torn between meeting their own needs and meeting another's, they'll take care of their own needs first. So don't set this up as an either-or situation. Aries energy boils over quickly. If a situation threatens to erupt in conflict, get out, take a break, and come back later. The challenge. Accidents increase when you are in a hurry, rushing through a project, or impatiently distracted. This flammable temperament can spark inspiration or spark a conflagration. Proceed with caution. The gift of Aries. Aries marks the beginning of spring in the Northern Hemisphere after a long, dark winter. The dead landscape comes alive. Plants that were shorn of leaves or dormant now breathe new life. This is a brave miracle, and it can be your miracle. Feel the flowing inner life force, trust the divine direction, and summon the courage to begin. Be the hero, right? Summon the courage to begin. Allow life to come back into it. Trust in the flow. Trust the divine direction being given to you. Take action on being the brave miracle moving forward. It might be, reaching out to person number 2 and cultivating something, right? As we get into Taurian energy. Taurus, right? Cultivate. Taurus asks you to hold still, dig in, grow roots, and strengthen over time. Manifest in a practical way, signified by a bull standing in its field. Taurus rules the neck and voice. Its purpose is to bring life into matter through growing wildflowers and crops, through our muscular strength and the sensual potential of our bodies, and through the solidness of our material resources. The action with Taurus. Work with the metaphor of gardening. Plow the ground, plant the seeds, nurture the crops with water and nutrients, and protect those crops from predation. Grow roots rather than travel. Investigate what concrete form your project should take and the next practical steps in that direction. Appreciate the senses. Notice what you see, smell, hear, feel, and taste. Use the senses to be in the present moment and let time flow by. Cuddle and feed. In a relationship, listen to both the signals of body chemistry and the practicalities of your life to give it a fertile field. Cultivate your garden. Like a slowly growing flower basking in the sun, find contentment in the moment. Explore the roots of the situation. Ask what feeds this idea or what feeds your soul. If you're feeling pushed about, sit, hold still, grow roots, and let the storm pass over you. Don't hurry. Play the long game as you plant and tend to your crops. What you nourish today will nourish you back tomorrow. The challenge with Taurus. Taurus excess can lead you to mistakes of stubbornness for strength, or look for spiritual and emotional answers in the material world. There will never be enough stuff to fill an emotional void. Sensuality is a Taurus gift, but sex alone will not fulfill a desire for love. Clarify your hunger. Clarify your hunger. What are you hungry for? You know, we get sucked into relationship dynamics because of chemistry, right? There's a chemistry there, a magnetic draw there, but it doesn't last if the love's not there. You can't build and cultivate longevity off of just sex, passion, and chemistry. It's not stable, which is what Taurus represents, right? The gift of Taurus. Everything that surrounds you is made up of matter. And the word matter comes from the Latin word mater, or mother. Taurus connects you to the sacred Earth Mother Gaia herself, the physical vessel who holds spirit in the body, in plants, and in the earth beneath us. Even the symbols of Aries and Taurus represent the masculine and feminine reproductive organs. The symbol for Aries, right, is the male organs. The symbol for Taurus is the male organs. Like literally the horns are the ovaries, and the circle or the face of the bull is the womb. They go together. They work together. They're meant to. Together, they create the mirror, or Gemini, who rule the house of children. The twins, yin and yang, masculine and feminine. What happens when they come together? The duality of the two. We all have this inner masculine and feminine energy, this creative power, this drive, this ability to take action, to be brave in life and make choices, to reroute. It's about finding that passion, right? What we truly live for. what makes us feel alive, and then cultivating it. Surrounding ourselves with people who help cultivate what we're passionate about, who help it thrive, right? Who help it thrive. Can we appreciate those that do and take action and what they're passionate about and cultivate it? Can we find someone who shares the same passions and is willing to help us cultivate it? That's the guidance. Person number 2 was seeking to cultivate the drive, what person number 1 truly loved and was passionate about. Person number 1 has the passion energy. This is what I care about. This is what makes me feel alive. This is what is important to me. Energy. Person number 2 said, I know how to cultivate it. And they weren't wrong. They knew how to cultivate it. They knew how to cherish and love and nurture and feed what it was that person number 1 was passionate about. It's what they lived for. And we're pretty much told, I don't need your cultivation. I don't need your fucking advice. I'm going to do it my way. Act first, think later. The shadow of Aries. And they're realizing that they were wrong. You can't just throw the seeds on the ground and expect them to grow. If you throw the seeds on the ground and you don't cultivate them properly, right? It was talking about predators in the garden. If you don't plant the seeds correctly, birds will eat the seeds. The garden will never grow. You can throw the dirt in the soil, but if the soil's dry and you don't water it, you don't give it love, you don't give it attention, it'll just sit in the dirt dormant. It'll never grow. If weeds are popping up all around it, they're taking up the nutrients in the soil. They're taking up the precious light that it needs to grow. It might grow a little bit. It's not going to be nearly as big or nearly as fruitful or nearly as strong. It wasn't cultivated correctly. What do you love and care about? And are you nurturing it and cultivating it the way it requires you to? All seeds grow in different circumstances. Some need shade, some need light, some need a lot of water, some barely need any. What are you passionate about, and what does it require to cultivate it correctly? And can you trust when someone says, I know what your goal is? I know what the goal is. Can you trust that I know how to cultivate it? It's a team effort. This was always meant to be a team effort. If person number 2 cannot be salvaged for person number 1, then person number 1 needs to reflect on the lessons that person number 2 taught them, especially if they are not willing to repeat the lessons. Like, I already taught you, I ain't going to teach you twice. If you forgot what I said, that's on you. I've already moved on, right? If that's the mentality of person number 2. Person number 1 has to remember what the fuck they tried to teach them about properly cultivating what it is they're after. Whether it's cultivating a job or cultivating a family. They have to remember what they were taught. Or hand over control to person number 2 so that they can cultivate it the way it needs to get cultivated and be trusted to do that. Because that's the only way person number 2 is going to come back. They've got to be in control and be let them cultivate the way they know how to cultivate. Like, that's their forte. That's their forte. Let me do what I do best. You be passionate. You drive the energy behind it, but let me cultivate it the way I need to cultivate it. You want to create excitement about it? Great. You want to create positive experiences? Great. Let me cultivate it and take care of it the way it needs to be taken care of. Help me do that. Help me do that. They need team. They need a team. You know, it'd be like one person, like we'll do a family scenario, like main male, maybe the provider of the family dynamic works his fucking ass off all day, wants to make sure that the children have all the clothes that they need, have all the food that they need, have the lights turned on, have a nice warm shower or bath. Like they want to make sure that they have all of the things that they need, and they're working their fucking ass off to make sure these needs are met. I'm creating the needs being met, right? Because I'm passionate about my family and my children being better off than I was when I was a kid. I need my partner then to nurture the children, to make sure that if I buy the food, that they're cooking the home cooked meal, that if I'm keeping the lights on and keeping the AC on in the summer and keeping the heat on in the winter, that the nurturing energy is creating the cultivating experience, the story times, the family time, the let me help you with your homework shit, you know, like cultivating the other things that they're out creating the means to do. I've got the light on. Use it. You know, I feel team needs to be team. It would fall apart if the second person that they've brought into their life was not helping them cultivate it. Like, what if they're spending all this time working to make money for food and all these different things to create the environment necessary to grow in, and the other person's just shitting all over it? Like food's just going to waste, or the children are going hungry, or money's being tossed down the drain on cheap, you know, throw it in the microwave snacks because they don't want to fucking cook or learn. They don't even want to learn. Well, I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to take care of kids. They can fend for themselves. I teach them to be independent. If person number one wanted independent children who know how to just microwave their own food and do their own laundry, they don't fucking need you. They don't fucking need you then. What are you cultivating? If the goal is independence, fending for yourselves, if that's the goal, why have anybody in the nurturer role? It's bullshit. It's bullshit. In a workplace scenario, it's like having an empathic boss who legitimately cares to make the company successful and all of the employees under them successful. And someone else saying, well, I need numbers and these numbers aren't good. I can't spend all this time training these people. I can't spend all this time cultivating interest in the business. I can't spend time, blah, 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 blah. I need them to produce numbers. And the other person's like, you're going to waste money hiring new people and losing people, or keeping people that produce numbers but are toxic to the environment, and you're losing other people, or you're creating an environment of, I don't give a fuck, I'm just a number, so I'm just here for a paycheck. The business could be great. The business could be amazing if everybody inside the business cared about the business. The business is not going to thrive if the people running it don't fucking care about it and they just want to get paid. They don't value the job. I'll find another one. It doesn't matter. Fuck this. This boss doesn't care about me. So why should I care about them? How can you cultivate the best business you could possibly create with the best clientele relationships? Because the community inside the business is solid in their relationships. They're all working towards a common goal because they care. Like, unless you train that into people and pull that out of people, like, it's not going to be as good as it could possibly be. A business will produce the best fucking numbers when everybody cares and they're all cultivating an action for a common goal. You can't treat people like numbers and expect to get high numbers. You can't. You're diminishing your potential that way. People who care, legit, will put in fucking overtime and will do it gladly. They'll do it gladly. You need me overtime because we're going to try and hit this goal? As a company, we're going to try and hit it. Fuck yeah, I'm in. I care about the company. I'll gladly put in that overtime. Someone who doesn't care, I'm sorry, I can't stay late today. I have nothing to do at home, but I'm going to tell you I have plans because I don't fucking care about this place and I can't wait to clock out. Goals don't get reached. Deadlines get missed. Client relationships get hurt. Business drops. Why? Because the relationship wasn't cultivated. That's what this whole reading is about. Find someone who understands your fucking goals, shares the same goals, and can cultivate the best possible outcome. And if you did not set yourself up that way, figure out a way to get them back. Figure out a way to get them back, or take a fucking lesson from their book. Take a lesson from their book. One more guidance card. White Light Oracle. One more guidance card, please, as advice for whoever needs this message. Leo or otherwise. Aries and Taurus especially. Especially if they're your rising sign. What guidance card, please, Spirit above all others? 𝐤𝐞𝐫𝐿. Card number 2. Card number 2. If I can keep my hands on the book. Okay. It's time to let go. Things are working out in their own way. Trust that your heart is wise and is leading you on a soul healing journey and the right spiritual path. Spirit wants to bring you a blessing and a resolution, but you must let go and allow it to happen. Events are unfolding according to a higher plan. Even if your plans are going awry, know that all will come together at the right time and in the best way possible. Surrender your struggle and hold on to your faith. You do not need to be in control in order to be safe and have things work out in the best possible way. We've been talking about it the whole life. The whole life. You do not need to be in control in order to feel safe and have things work out in the best possible way. That's what I was saying. Person number 1 needed to hand over control, right? Person number 2 is like, you need to let me need to let me control what this is because you botch it. Right? You don't know how to cultivate it. I know how to garden. It's about releasing control. Releasing control. You do not need to be in control in order to be safe and have things work out in the best possible way. In an often spiritually deficient modern culture, we have developed a kind of mystical amnesia. We have forgotten the genuine, effective, and astonishing power of spiritual intervention that can be evoked by an open heart. The oracle brings you a message from Spirit. There is a problem in your life that seems very real and substantial. Yet, if you approach it from a more mystical perspective, desiring spiritual connection and healing, that issue can dissolve. It can be absorbed into spiritual light and be healed. It can transform in such a way that your current viewpoint of suffering will cease to exist. There is a path for healing you have yet to recognize. As you let go of what you think should or must be, you will recognize a perhaps unexpected path to your true healing and inner fulfillment opening up before you. The Latin phrase, 𝗬𝗫𝗄 𝗧𝗵𝐵, refers to a desire to dissolve, to be absorbed into the luminosity of the soul, where there is beauty, relief, and peace. To enter into such a state requires a loosening of our attachments and fixations upon our problems in the physical world. This does not mean we deny our troubles. In letting go, we give spirit permission to heal the state of heart and mind that has led us into these difficulties. It can be surprising just how much we hold on to things we wish to be freed from. It can be surprising just how much we hold on to things we wish to be freed from. It might help you let go if you reflect on what would be different for you if this problem is no longer in your life. Sometimes we might hold on to pain hoping to gain acknowledgement from a certain person who may just lack the emotional capacity and spiritual development to grant us a heartfelt apology. Sometimes we punish ourselves by holding on to pain, holding impossible and unhelpful standards of inhuman perfection when we could forgive ourselves and move on. Spiritually, we have the power to forgive and free ourselves and others. There is so much to be gained in doing so. It is a way to heal the heart from emotional poison, awaken inner peace and freedom, and move forward with our lives. As we forgive and enter the temple of the heart, we can see beautiful visions of what is now possible. Feelings of euphoria and gratitude may awaken. We realize we have set ourselves free from the past. A constraint that once weighed heavily upon our hearts has been cast off by our spiritual will. Knowing we have such a beautiful power within can bring gratitude and wonder into our hearts. In the spiritual landscape of the heart, we let go of what we think and engage with what we feel. The true mystical experience of divine love is not just emotional, it's transfiguring. It helps us transform ourselves and our lives. This oracle guides you to immerse yourself in the spiritual light within your heart. A beautiful and uplifting outcome is being offered to you. Trust in spirit, let go, and receive. If you are experiencing things in life that you don't want, you have to release what you don't want so that you can make room for what you do want. If what you wanted yesterday has changed and you no longer want it today, you need to let go of what you wanted first to make room for what you now want to come in. Maybe you did want a relationship of chemistry and passion and sex and lust. And maybe now you don't. Maybe now you want a cultivating, nurturing love. Maybe you did want all of the numbers and prioritize the numbers, and maybe now you value the foundation more than just the numbers. Maybe you see the value in it now, which means you have to let the old mindset go. You know, maybe you wanted that toxic coworker because they get the numbers, but they're fucking toxic and they're poisoning the whole workplace. Maybe you need to let them go so you can make room for someone more nurturing to create the foundation in your workplace the way you want it. What you can't receive from the outer experience, you can pull it from within yourself. You can pull it from within yourself. It might not be your forte and you might not be there forever, but you might have to cultivate it for the time being and nurture your quote unquote weakness. Practice in it. You might surprise yourself. It could become a new strength of yours. Could become a new strength. Surrender control. Surrender control. Don't swim against the current. It's exhausting. Like I used the example earlier of being at my job. Like I was swimming upstream. It was fucking exhausting. It was fucking exhausting. I was not getting support and help at all to help the flow. I had to go. You know, I'm not going to sit there and swim upstream. I'm not going to exhaust myself because I'm trying to cultivate your goals and you're not giving me the environment to do it properly. I will gladly cultivate what it is you're passionate about, but I need to be given the environment and the tools that I need to do that. I need to be given what I need to be given to do it. It's no different in relationships. I can cultivate beautiful family relationships, beautiful relationships with children. They could be seen, they could be heard, they could be nurtured. I can teach them. Like, I know how to nurture family. I know how to do that. But I'm not going to be treated like a less than partner or a nobody. I'm not going to be disregarded, and I'm not going to be, denied what I need as an individual to keep going. To do that. Like, no, you're not going to treat me like shit. Just because I love and care about your kids, doesn't mean I'm going to tolerate abuse. You're not giving me the conditions to nurture them properly. In fact, it's detrimental. It's the fiend energy where innocence gets devoured. What's the point of cultivating beautiful children if you're literally doing things in the environment that diminish everything I'm doing? If you're teaching them toxic, I'm trying to teach them healthy and you're teaching them toxic. Like, you and I have different goals then. I'm teaching them that love matters. And the way you're treating me, that loving me doesn't matter, is counterproductive to what I'm trying to teach them. Like, yeah, you're lovable, but you have to tolerate being not loved. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's counterintuitive. Counterproductive. Makes no fucking sense. I hope the message lands where it needs to land for everybody who catches it. I do look forward to the moon event tomorrow. I'm fucking excited. Again, today is the last day to sign up. 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, Central Daylight Time is the deadline to sign up. If you did not get your reading by then, you will have to wait for the next moon event. Okay? And just resonate to whatever secret code names there are out there. This moon event is going to be a little different because we are going to have intention candles. I am going to make them live. There's even pendulum questions. Someone did get themselves some pendulum questions with it. So you guys will be able to experience that tomorrow. It's going to be exciting. And I'm definitely excited for it. And probably I'm going to spend the rest of the day in preparation. In preparation of it. So I hope the 2 different lives today serve you well. I will go back and try and find that video where those came out, those star code astro cards came out, and pin it to the comments. And I have faith that if you're on this channel, you are in your highest fuck energy, you're on the right track, or you're on your way there. Because the algorithm don't bring you here unless it's divine, baby. It is a divine happening if you are here and know about my channel and get these readings. right? These divine conversations that we have. It's truly what they are. I love y'all very much. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bye, everyone.